You've spelunked into the Mat Cave. Hello, everybody, and welcome into another episode of the Mat Cave. Thank you all so much for spelunking on by. This week, the plan was for me to wait to record this until after the U.S. men's national team plays against Bolivia, but I just couldn't wait. I had so much to get off my chest about that situation, and I just needed to get it out there. So, this is pre-results of that match. All right. So that's where we're coming from to begin with, but I just wanted to get that out of the way and say thank you for being here. And as always, please do rate, review, share, comment, like, subscribe, whatever it is, wherever you listen. Helps me out a ton and gets as many spelunkers in here as possible. That is the goal, and I appreciate all of you that do that on a weekly basis. You are superheroes. Now, what are we talking about this week? Well, as the title would suggest, I'm going to be talking a lot about soccer. Yes, there is going to be a lot of soccer talk here, but I'm actually going to start with the upcoming drafts that are coming for the NBA, the Utah Jazz, and then the NHL, the Utah Hockey Club. Those are both happening pretty much back-to-back this coming week. So I'll go over what the air quotes experts are saying the Jazz will do, and then I'll say what me, the not expert, would want those clubs to do. And I'll just kind of break it down there. And then lastly, I lied to you, Spelunkers. I said I wasn't going to get the Shadow of the Erdtree, the DLC for Elden Ring, but it turns out it did. And I will tell you what's going on there. I did not stream it, so you should be proud of me there. If you were to log on to twitch.tv and you were to look at the different streams available to you there, it would be covered in Elden Ring. I did that the other night, and I just looked at my recommended channels, and it was Elden Ring, Elden Ring, Elden Ring, Elden Ring, Elden Ring, Elden Ring, League of Legends, Elden Ring, Elden Ring, Elden Ring, League of Legends, Elden Ring, Grand Theft Auto 5, Elden Ring. It was all over the place. Everybody is playing it, and they should be. So I'll get to that later in this episode. But again, thank you all for being here. And I already bugged you for all the good stuff that you do for me. So let's just dive into things and start with what I think, or not even what I think, what the experts think the Utah Jazz are going to do with their upcoming lottery pick. So this is not going to go over their 32nd pick in the second round or the 27th, I believe, pick later on in the first round. What do I think they'll do with those? Honestly, with the 32nd pick, I would love for them to go with Bronny James, just to tick off LeBron James and their agent. I think that would be chef's kiss. That's what I want them to do. Do I think they're going to do that? Absolutely not. But this is just their number 10 pick. So let's start there. So I combed the interwebs for the sources that I trust the most when it comes to sporting news. So, I don't go to Sports Illustrated anymore. That's AI-generated BS, allegedly, and just not good anymore. They don't have any good writers anymore. They've all left. So the places I go to are still, ESPN still does a decent job. It's not as good as it used to be because they're more on the entertainment rather than the sports programming network. So I go there. I go to The Athletic, which I think is the best place when it comes to sports journalism. And I also went to CBS Sports and Yahoo Sports. They still do a decent job, which is kind of funny because Yahoo Sports used to be the joke. And now that Sports Illustrated has collapsed in on itself like a dying star, Yahoo Sports is actually coming back. They've got some good stuff in there. So those are where I'm coming from. And then I'll also tell you from which player that is coming from which place. All right, so there's your overview of what I went to. And at the end of it, I'm going to tell you who I want the Jazz to take and why. So first is, and I had to look his name up, and I hope I'm saying this right. Apologies if I'm not. Tidian. Oh, I already screwed it up. It's Tijan Saloon. Or Salon. Oh my gosh, I did that bad. And I'm not editing it. This is real. I'm not going to make myself sound better. This is real, darn it. So it's Tidian Salon, who plays in the European French League. I bet you couldn't guess he was European. And this is coming from the most recent article as of this morning, June 23rd, 8 hours ago. Sam Vecenie of The Athletic. He's one of the senior writers for the NBA. He covers NBA draft and draft prospects. So he's a very trustworthy, as much as you can, source. The reason for this is he is that kind of player the Jazz have been hunting for since their existence. Basically, an Andre Kirilenko type player who can hit the outside shot, does not really have a good jumper, but is highly athletic, a super high work ethic on the defensive side, and someone that they hope could cover a Brandon Ingram type player that has plagued the Jazz time immemorial. So that's why Sam Vecenie thinks that. The other players, so there's a few. There is no consensus pick for basically any position in the draft. Looking through, this is a very unique draft. Like I said, there's no high-end talent, but there is still plenty of talent. And so the next one that came up is Devin Carter. This is also from Sam Vecenie because in the same blurb that he wrote about Tidiane, he said the Jazz could go after Devin Carter as well. And so Devin Carter is a guard from Providence, Rhode Island. He is the son of former NBA guard Anthony Carter. If you remember him from, I believe he was on the Knicks as well as the Hornets. And the reason he said the Jazz are targeting him is because of defense and a high work ethic with decent three-point shooting. Tell me if you've heard that before. The Jazz have a type, and I feel like it's a toxic relationship. They have a type, an athletic swing forward, I guess is what they're called now, but small forward back in my day, and an athletic guard who can play defense. They have a type. So those are the two from Sam Vecenie on The Athletic. Next on the list is Stephen Castle from ESPN's Kevin Pelton, and this article was just from a day ago. On June 22nd is when he wrote his, I don't know if it'll be his final, but one of his final mock drafts. And I like this pick. Stephen Castle won a national championship with UConn this past season. He is highly active defensively. He has a very good mid-range jumper. Kevin Pelton pointed out that he has a 58% from mid-range. That's pretty good. That's like DeMar DeRozan levels. And people call DeMar DeRozan the master of the mid-range, the forgotten art, or the forbidden art, I guess you could say now. And so they feel like he can be molded into something, and that's really all the Jazz need to look for in this draft, is somebody who can be molded into a player that they want. Because, let's face it, the West is stacked, and the Jazz are at the very bottom of that stack. So getting project guys they believe in, that they can mold and turn into players who can turn into maybe potentially all-stars like Keontae George. I'm all right with it. So Stephen Castle, if he's there, I've seen mock drafts that have Stephen Castle going as high as 3 or as low as 8. Like, this is the lowest I've seen Stephen Castle drop. So that's kind of weird. So I don't think that one's going to happen. Sorry, Kevin Pelton. Next is forward Ron Holland from the G League Ignite. Again, this one's from Bleacher Report, and it's the type. Rangy, athletic, swing forward, high upside, needs to work on his offensive game. That's the type. And then the one that comes up the most often, which is 3 times, is Nikola Topic from Serbia. And this was actually the one that I think the Jazz should go for. So I'm going to bundle that up there. I think the Jazz should go for Nikola Topic. Why are people saying not to go for him? Well, earlier this season, he suffered a partial tear of his left ACL. And if I'm the Jazz, sitting at number 10, and this kid is still sitting there, he is a floor general. He's not a guy that's going to break down a defense one-on-one, but the Jazz don't need that. They've got Colin Sexton. They've got Keontae George. They still have Jordan Clarkson. They don't need that. They need someone who can run the point, and this kid can do that. He is a floor general. So this is according to CBS Sports' Kyle Boone. This is also according to ESPN's Jonathan Givney and Jeremy Woo, who are two front office expert, air quotes, guys who also have run scouting things in the past, whether it's websites or for teams. And so this is the guy I want. This is truly the guy I want because he's a floor general, which means you can have Keontae George focus on his offensive game, which is his strength, and not necessarily have to worry about running the offense because that's where Topic will come in. So those are the names. That was a lot of names. Those are the names that people are thinking the Jazz are going to go with, and as well as my pick. Do I think the Jazz will go that way? Oh, boy. It's tough to say what Justin Zanuck and Danny Ainge, Will Hardy, Ryan Smith, what they'll do, because nobody had them picking Taylor Hendricks last year, and nobody had them picking Keontae George either. So, I mean, it's a crapshoot when it comes to that front office. So that's the NBA draft. Next up is the Utah Hockey Club, which will be talked about a lot more on this show because, well, they're here now, and it's a professional team, and that makes me very happy. So there's two players, actually. This one is more consensus, with the Utah Hockey Club picking 6th in this year's NHL draft, and it's defensemen. And to give you a kind of a peek behind the curtain of how this front office has selected in the recent past for the Coyotes, now the Utah Hockey Club, is they believe in building from the back front, which I don't like. I believe building from the front back, like the Avalanche have done with McKinnon and all of those guys. They got an all-world Hall of Fame trajectory defenseman because they had like the number 2 overall pick, which the Utah Hockey Club probably will never get. But that's how I want the team to be built. So that's kind of a peek into who I want them to pick. But so first we're going to start with Sam Dickinson, who played for the London Knights, and I had to look this up. No, not the team in England. This is the team from London, Ontario, Canada. And so this is actually from 2 sources, from The Athletic's Scott Wheeler and Yahoo Sports' Adam Kimmelman. It fits the current front office's strategy, and this kid has really high hockey intelligence, and he also has great passing and vision. And then also one other thing that this front office likes to do with their defensemen, they like them to be big and then be able to pass as well. And this kid fits that. So I'm about 6'1", 230 in that range. So I'd like to consider myself a little bit above average when it comes to size. This kid is 18 years old, 6'3", 203 pounds. Yeah, that's a big defenseman. And that's not with skates on. So with skates on, he's even bigger. So he could fit. The other one is Zeev Boyum from the University of Denver. This kid helped the University of Denver win the NCAA title this past season. He scored 50 points, and if you're not familiar, you get 1 point for a goal and 1 point for an assist. So he had 11 goals and 39 assists in, get this, 42 games. So he averaged more than a point per game for a national title-winning team. I say it's pretty darn good. He also helped the U.S. win the 2024 World Junior Championship. And that national title with the University of Denver, by the way, he won that over the consensus number 1 pick, Macklin Celebrini in Boston College. If this kid falls to 6, kind of feels like a no-brainer when it comes to this front office, no? But I don't agree. I don't agree. My philosophy, and that's why I'm sitting in a basement recording a podcast and not working in a front office, but my philosophy is from the front back, and so I say pick Tidge Aginla, who is the son of Hall of Famer Jerome Aginla, used to play for the Flames, the Panthers, and the Avalanche. He would fit with Josh Doan, not only my best friend, but then it's a different guy. Josh Doan is a little peek behind the curtain of the Matt Cave. One of my best friends, his name is Josh Doan, but he has no relation to Shane Doan. But Shane Doan's son, his name is Josh Doan too, which is kind of funny. But so it would be really cool to have 2 legacy players on the same team, and they would both be on the front line because Tidge Aginla is a center while Josh Doan is a winger. So that would be really cool too. And it would be instant scoring because Tij has great puck handling, great vision, and he scores like mad. But they're not going to go that way. Not this front office, not the way they build the team. It's going to be from the back front. It's probably going to be Zeev Boyum, I think, but a lot of people are saying Sam Dickinson instead. All right, so there is your draft previews in a nutshell. We'll see what happens, and who knows, maybe I'll be right. That would be really cool. I'd be right. Nikola Topic and Tij Iginla, I think that would be really cool. But here we go. All right, so now we move on to Real Salt Lake and the streak. Well, this past week, the streak broke the record for the club and then ended. They played 2 games this week. On Wednesday, they went against Sporting Kansas City and won in a shootout. It was 4-3. And honestly, Sporting Kansas City could have drawn the game in the last minute or so. That was a very entertaining game. Look up the highlights on YouTube. Super fun. But so Real Salt Lake won that 4-3, and Chicho Arango came in as a substitute late on, like 75th minute or something, and he really didn't have much to do with the scoring. The game was wide open. It was counterattacking. It was fast. It was great. It was so much fun. Anderson Julio, Diego Luna, Gomez, all of those guys, just super fun stuff. And Matt Cook, by the way, from England, got his first goal, so kudos to him. Then we fast forward to Saturday night, back home, Sandy, Utah, at the Riot. I refuse to call it the AF. It's the Riot. And 0-0 at the half. You would think, just looking at that scoreboard, Real Salt Lake's dominating the stat sheet, more chances created, more shots on goal, dominated possession. But hang on a minute. Chicho Arango suffered a very scary-looking injury in the 19th minute of the first half. There's blood. It looked like Kylian Mbappe for France earlier in the week. It was a head-to-head collision, and Arango got the worst of it. He had to get 15 to 20 stitches. They are observing him for concussion-like symptoms. And all I can say is speedy recovery and all the best to Chicho. He deserves it. But then the other side of me goes, why us? Why can't Real Salt Lake have nice things? Deloy Hansen is gone. The boogeyman has left the building. We can have nice things now. It's okay. So why does the universe keep taking them away? Jefferson Savarino, for instance, they sold him for a club record fee. It was like $2 million, so that's fine. But he's a key cog for the Venezuelan national team who just won their first match at Copa America. I watched that, and there was melancholy for me. But we'll see how long Chicho's going to be out for. It could be a week. It could be a month and a half. Honestly, I want them to take their time with him because he is that precious. Treat him, wrap him in bubble wrap, and then styrofoam and packing peanuts on the outside. He is that important to this team getting far in the playoffs. So as it stands right now, so Real Salt Lake went on to lose that game 1-0, or 0-1, however you want to say it. And now they are in kind of a three-way tie-ish for first place in the West at 37 points. They have a tie with the 2 LA teams, which is really funny. But LAFC is kind of first because they've only played 19 games, whereas Real Salt Lake and LA Galaxy have played 20. And so that's why they're kind of pegged at first. But Real Salt Lake holds the edge on both teams in goal differential, which is really weird to say. I don't know if I'll ever get used to saying that. Their goal differential is plus 17. It's still second in the league to Inter Miami, and I don't know how that's happened, but I love it. Pablo Mastroeni, by the way, I don't care what's happening in Inter Miami. He deserves Manager of the Year because this team was picked at the bottom, not just of the Western Conference, but of MLS. And he has them at the top. And they only added like one piece, which was Arango. Just my 2 cents, but that's what I think. So moving forward, Real Salt Lake does have a match on the 3rd of July, so they do have a week off, probably as an apology from MLS for forcing them to play 2 games this week. But that match will be against Houston, and the Dynamo are currently 7th in the West at 27 points. So it's still going to be a tough game. If it's in Houston, Real Salt Lake, like I've said in the past, has had real trouble going to Texas and playing these games. Okay, I had to look it up, but it is in Utah, so the U.S. does have a very good chance. But that injury, I really, I cannot say enough how much I want Arango to be okay. All right, so moving on from Chicho to someone that I do not like. This is rant time, everybody. Buckle up. I haven't had a good rant in a while. Here it comes. Probably because college football hasn't been happening and I haven't been able to rant at Kalani Sitake. So, the U.S. men's national team, currently ranked by FIFA, number 11 in the world. Among the highest they have ever been rated by FIFA. Ever. In the history of the U.S. men's national team. In a press conference yesterday, U.S. men's national team head coach Gregg Berhalter said, and I quote, "We hope to get out of the group." Really? You hope? You hope to get out of the group. You hope. Let's review who is in your group, shall we? So the U.S., as I said, number 11. Bolivia is their first match. Number 85. It is the lowest ranked team in the Copa America. Panama, a CONCACAF rival of the U.S., 45th. Yeah, 45th. And Uruguay, they're like a 15-time champion for the Copa America. They're 15th. So, if we're just going by paper, the U.S. should waltz through the group and get to the knockout stages. Here's more of why I'm so angry about him saying, "we hope." Everything he says. So I'm so frustrated, I'm kind of tripping over myself here, and I apologize. But everything he says angers me. And here's why it angers me. We have players who play in Europe. And not just in one league, and it's not like the Swiss league or the Romanian league or something like that. No, in the big leagues. The English Premier League, Italian Serie A, La Liga in Spain, the Scottish Premiership, the top leagues in the world. And he's saying we hope to get out of the group. Let me break it down a little bit further, and there's going to be a lot of names here. I don't expect you to remember any of them. There's not going to be a test. But in goal, we have Matt Turner, who used to play for Arsenal, is currently playing for Nottingham Forest, and Ethan Horvath, who used to play for Nottingham Forest and is currently playing for Cardiff City, who are on the division below the Premier League. The defensive group has one player in MLS. Or two players in MLS. Shaq Moore used to play in Europe, and Miles Robinson, who can't stay healthy long enough for a European team to want to grab him. So those two out of the way. Cameron Carter-Vickers plays for Celtic. Heard of it? Probably. They're usually the Scottish champions, and were again this year. Christopher Lund plays for Palermo in Italy. Mark McKenzie plays for pretty much annual champion in Belgium, Genk. Tim Ream plays for Fulham. Usually, when he's healthy, is the captain of that team. Chris Richards plays for Crystal Palace. Starts for Crystal Palace. Anthony Robinson, one of the best fullbacks in England, plays for Fulham. Joe Scally plays for Borussia Mönchengladbach in Germany. That's just the defenseman. Let's move to midfield, shall we? Tyler Adams, the captain of the most recent World Cup squad, played for Leeds and then was bought for a U.S. men's national team near record. Pulisic will always hold that record, I think. Bournemouth, England, Premier League. Johnny Cardoso plays for Real Betis in Spain. That's La Liga. Luca de la Torre plays for Celta de Vigo, Spain. Not La Liga, La Liga 2, La Liga 2, I guess. But still. Weston McKennie Plays for Juventus. You've probably heard of that, even if you don't follow soccer. Yunus Musa plays for AC Milan in Italy. You've probably heard of that one too. Those two squads, they're in the Champions League this coming year. Gio Reyna. His parent club is Borussia Dortmund. Yeah, that club that lost the Champions League final to Real Madrid. Yeah, he plays there. Malik Tillman. His parent club is Bayern Munich. You've probably heard of that one too. He is on loan to PSV, who just won the Dutch title and is a very good team. They make the Champions League almost every season. Brendan Aronson played for Union Berlin this past season in the Bundesliga of Germany, which is the top tier. His parent club is Leeds, England. Let's move on to the forwards. Let's just talk about them for a second. Valerian Balogun plays for Monaco. Monaco is going to the Champions League. Yeah, and Balogun was a big reason why. Ricardo Pepi, he plays for PSV. You know, the Dutch squad that won the Dutch league and is going to the Champions League again. Josh Sargent plays for Norwich City. Norwich City was a goal away from qualifying for the Premier League. Timothy Weah, he plays for Juventus. Haji Wright, Coventry City, another team that was almost promoted to the Premier League. And this guy, you probably heard of him. I don't know. Christian Pulisic plays for AC Milan, used to play for Chelsea and Borussia Dortmund. He's pretty good. Scored like 17 goals for AC Milan across all the competitions. It's pretty good. So, let me break that down for you. That's 9 players that play in England, 5 that play in Italy, 2 each in Germany, Spain, and the Netherlands, 1 in Scotland, and 1 in Belgium. Only 3 players on this roster play domestically, and one of them you can kind of sub out because Serginho Dest, whose parent club is FC Barcelona, probably heard of that one. Little guy named Messi used to play for that club too. He was on loan to PSV and was a central cog in them winning the Dutch league. He would be in for Shaq Moore. So that's 2. That's Miles Robinson and Sean Johnson. Sean Johnson is a goalkeeper. He's 3rd on the depth chart. He's the depth guy. All of that being said, the days of hoping to get out of a group in whatever international competition are over. There's too much talent to not to expect victories against teams like Colombia that they lost 5-1 to. Uruguay, Mexico, number 14. Colombia's number 12. Uruguay's number 15 in this tournament. And then in international competitions like the World Cup, expect victories against Croatia, who are number 9, Italy, who are number 10, Germany, who are number 16, and Japan, who are number 17. And then even expect results like a draw against teams like Spain at number 8, Netherlands at number 7, or England at number 4. Maybe even Brazil, right? They're number 5 right now. So this whole win one for the Gipper, oh, they're young and they're learning, that's over, is what I'm saying here. That's over. All of these guys play meaningful minutes for their club, except for Matt Turner and Gio Reyna. For these clubs that play in the best leagues in the world, there deserves to be something for us fans to expect now. It's not, oh, we hope for a good showing against a team like England or Brazil. We hope for this and that. No, I expect the U.S. men's national team to win at least 2 matches in this group and then draw with Uruguay. That's my expectation. I expect 7 points out of this group and winning the group. That's what I expect. I expect a 4-1 victory against Bolivia tonight. That's my expectation. I'm tired of the U.S. being the underdog. No, we are the best in our region by far. If you watched Mexico last night, Mexico couldn't even stay on the same pitch as the U.S. men's national team. This team needs to start winning, and Gregg Berhalter is not the man to do it. He is not the man to do it. He did a great job developing this team, getting their confidence up, making them believe that they can play against teams like England and Iran. Now, that's done. Now we need somebody in there to take the reins and take this to the next level where we get victories in these international tournaments. So, To that end, I asked the three main large language model AIs out there, Gemini for Google, Copilot for Microsoft, and ChatGPT. If you were placed in charge of the U.S. men's national team and your mission is to get to the semifinals of the 2026 FIFA World Cup, who would you place in charge to get that done? Gregg Berhalter, not an option. Gemini, for Google, picked names like Roberto Martinez, who is the current manager of Belgium, probably not going to happen. Leonardo Jardim, who is a very offensive-minded manager, who I would love. He used to coach for Monaco in the French league. Marcelo Bielsa, maybe not. He used to coach Argentina, maybe not. And then Jim Curtin, Josh Wolf, and Gerardo Martino. The reason Gemini brought them up is because they are successful in MLS. So Gemini kind of dropped the ball on this. So then I went to Copilot and I said, all right, give me some names. So Copilot, and I love this, Copilot number one is a guy that the U.S. men's national team looked the other way. Jesse Marsch. I would have loved this hiring. Why, you ask? Well, Jesse Marsch, my good spelunker, used to coach in the English Premier League with Leeds United, as well as the German Bundesliga, the top league of Germany, with RB Leipzig. Yeah, he's really good. He's the current manager of Canada who went toe-to-toe with Argentina for most of that opening match. They also said Bob Bradley. No. No. He was the former manager. He managed from 2006 to 2011, and he had some very massive disappointments, like just not good stuff. I don't want to bring him up. Peter Vermes. He has a kind of good record as the manager of Sporting Kansas City, but not great. But the other one I really liked was Tab Ramos. He's a former U.S. men's national team player, and he's been the U.S. under-20 coach for a very long time. And he's very offensive-minded as well, which is what the U.S. needs. They need the belief that they can score goals against these top teams. Gregg Berhalter is a guy who's scared to lose. He's not somebody who's going to go out and win. He's just going to say, I don't want to lose. I hate that in any manager. So then I went to ChatGPT. And guess what? It agreed with Copilot. It said Jesse Marsch. Yeah. Also Peter Vermes from Sporting Kansas City. Bob Bradley, no. And Caleb Porter. He has been the manager of Portland Timbers, but he's also very defense-minded, and I don't like that. The talent for the U.S. men's national team lies in the attack. And that's what we need as a manager. And Tab Ramos was selected as well. So Gregg Berhalter, no. The vast majority of myself wants the U.S. men's national team to dominate tonight against Bolivia, but there's a very small part of me that would love it if Bolivia just waxed this team, because in no way would Gregg Berhalter continue to have a job. And that's what we need. So, tell me if you agree or disagree, by the way. And if you disagree, that's okay. I'm not going to shout you down. I just would like to know why. And we can be civil. It's okay. But those are my feelings about the U.S. men's national team and where it's headed. But, yeah, so this episode's gone pretty long. That was rant time over. I'm going to be talking about Elden Ring's Shadow of the Erdtree now. So that came out. It's a $40 DLC, and quite honestly, it could be its own feature-length film type game. It is massive. There is a lot to do. There are a lot of bosses, and it's really hard. Like, really, really hard. They took into account that players like me would have characters that are like level 250, and so they decided that in the expansion, the enemies are going to hit harder unless you can find a certain item that helps you. And I've only found 2 of that item, and everything hits like a Mack truck. But it's still pretty fun. I did get frustrated, and I had to stop playing for a little bit. So I haven't dived back into it. I went back to the normal game just to feel good about myself again. But overall, if you enjoy the Souls-like games, if you enjoy Elden Ring, pick it up. You won't be disappointed. It looks great. The graphics are incredible. The characters and the storytelling is so weird. It fits in very well with Elden Ring, and there's a reason why all of those streamers are playing it. So in my ranking system, obviously since it's a DLC for the game, if you enjoy the game, get it 100%. All right, that's the show. That's the episode this week, everybody. Thank you all so much for being here. You can find me on social media. I am on X, formerly known as Twitter, at the Matt Cave Pod. I do have a Facebook page. You can go and like and interact with people on Facebook.com, the Matt Cave Podcast, all one word. And then I also have a Twitch channel as well as a YouTube channel. I've been streaming 2 to 3 times a week. I'd love to see you there. I play stuff that I want to play, so there's really no theme, which kind of is a detriment to growing the stream, but that's not really the goal. I just do it to have fun. But on YouTube, it's the Matt Cave Podcast, all one word. Search me up, you'll find me. And then on Twitch, it is twitch.tv/MattsCave, MattsCave. So I hope to see you guys there. Chat with me, hang out with me. And I will see you all next week when we spelunk back into the Matt Cave.